Let's talk quickly about follow-ups just to make sure that we're doing the right things when we're putting all of this effort in the front end of doing all this outreach, connecting with people, engaging with people, but then we don't do the follow through at the very end, the button up, if you will. So, what ends up happening when you don't get responses? It's people forget about you. And yeah, of course, there are some people that have zero interest in putting in any effort to make sure that you know you didn't get the job. But it is really important for us to realize that we are not the top of mind for everybody in the world. Most people are busy with their own things and they get lost in the mix. It's not pushy, it's just gentle nudging. And in order for us to be remembered, we have to sometimes ping people a few times. There are different types of follow-ups, of course. Now, there's a cold follow-up, which is basically you've never talked with anybody, you sent in an application, there is no there is no interaction with a human being yet, and you're just continuing to ping people. Now, there is also a warmer follow-up where you've made contact, you've had an initial dialogue, maybe you've even had an interview. That's a different type of follow-up, at which case you have at some point had an interaction with somebody. And I think there's kind of this human element where it's like, hey, professional courtesy, here I am. Now, this pertains to every channel, LinkedIn, email, text. All I'm trying to say is don't be afraid or don't be worried about coming off too pushy. It's really important to just remember to poke people every once in a while and be like, hey, I still exist. I know follow ups are a slog. Nobody likes it. I'm not a huge fan of it, obviously. Like, if you wanted me, then you'd come running after me. Of course, that's our mentality. But it does keep you at the top of their mind. It sometimes restarts dialogues, and it definitely increases your chances of having further meetings that ultimately lead to interviews, which lead to potentially getting that job. We all get busy. Just remember, people are people. They're forgetful, flawed, and all those other things. Some really quick, I do love, I do love the gifts sometimes. Um, people, people really mess up follow-ups. The idea of throwing in the phrase "just following up," "just checking in," "just pinging you," "just touching base," it doesn't really initiate any momentum in either direction of the conversation. So what I've always found is bring something to the table. Have you seen this? I thought of you and I located this resource. Check this thing out that I just saw, or I was just listening to a podcast about you guys, or I saw a keynote from somebody from your company, and wow, you guys are incredible. And then go into your ask. I think when you give, you receive so much more. Just so we're on the same page, it's not just me who says this and believes this. So, a little third party validation. I saw this interesting creator have a pretty nice take about how she does some of her follow ups, and it's kind of along the same parallel lines, which is always nice. So, pause here, watch the video. I think it's a great take. So, in terms of cold follow ups, the emails work. Like, the responses after you send your initial email, they continue to get opened and interacted with, engaged with. So it's never too early, it's never too late. Often just trying to get that opportunity in order to, hey, I got busy and I totally forgot about you. I'm glad you followed up. It happens all the time. So just remember, like, it doesn't hurt to do these little gentle nudges. They don't have to be marathons. They don't have to be a ton of labor. And you can really get creative with these things in order to stand out in a great way. I often find myself writing these little extra lines that give somebody the presence of mind to understand, like, man, this person isn't going to leave me alone. So these are some of the tactics that I use. If I don't hear from you, I'll write again in a couple of days. So that is basically saying, like, dude, I'm on your ass. Like, just respond to this guy. Is it okay for me to write again if I don't hear back from you? It maybe seems a bit meek, but honestly, this does get responses like, oh, of course, I'll make sure to get back to you. And in their heart of hearts, maybe they believe that and they forgot. That's why it's okay to follow up. If you're not the right person to speak with, would you be able to introduce me to the right person? If they have never responded to you and you have sent two or three messages, this is kind of like a last ditch effort. I mean, you put the time and energy into reaching out in the first place. Maybe this is a cool avenue to take. I'm having trouble connecting with anyone from insert the name of their company. Who would you contact if you were me? That's an interesting kind of dynamic, and it does actually get responses where it maybe takes down the veil of this transactional interaction and puts you in more of a human place. Honestly, I use these all the time for no cold kind of response templates, and often it's towards template 2 or 3 in the sequence, but it does work quite well. Staying organized, I've already touched on this, and I just think it's so powerful to continue to stay organized in your inbox. I went through a few days ago and basically unleashed an unsubscribe fury on so many different messages that were kind of cluttering up my inbox, and then continuing to remove folders and add new ones that are a little more, let's say, purposeful. I think it really helps, and it's so easy to do this in G Suite. Pretty much every email service provider does this. So, like, yeah, give yourself a little bit of leeway and tag these things consistently so you're able to interact better with your inbox. I've already talked about email tracking. One of my favorite solutions, and I literally glance at it every day, is Streak. It just allows you to see if you're actually getting ghosted or if people have looked at your stuff but are not getting back to you. There are a ton of follow-up resources. These come in the form of templates with both LinkedIn and email, and I have provided a link to all that good stuff here. So just remember, you can use this stuff. You can build more prompts. I've given you a bunch of prompts, so I think it's really, really easy to build this stuff. This is an activity that I'm not going to guide you through, and the reason I'm encouraging you is because I do it, and it really does change my perception of my inbox. It also allows me to stay super regimented and focused and formatted and organized. So again, if you can take 5 minutes, do this in Gmail, do this in LinkedIn, and make sure that you're adding these tags. It's super easy to make sure that the tags make sense to you. Again, the best tool for this is the one that you will use. And I genuinely believe if you're using your inbox with any regularity, you're going to get value out of doing this.